Hello and welcome back to my channel YouTECH Leader. Today we are going to talk about leadership. We will see how to lead. We will see who can lead. We'll touch upon a couple of very important but very simple theories on leadership. So let's get started right away. So you see, the other day I was asking my son about whom he considers as a great leader. He came back to me with a very surprising and a shocking answer, saying that he considers Spiderman as a great leader. So I was shocked and surprised at the same time. I thought at least he would take my name as a great leader, but not to be. So I decided to go online and do a Google search on the greatest of leaders. So after I typed in, Google as usual returned me with 17 million results in 20 seconds. And the first page obviously consisted of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen. And I went on searching till page number 50 in Google, but there was no mention of any Spiderman or myself. So it was equally disappointing for me or for my kid, right? By the way, my kid is just 8 years old, so he lives in his own world of fantasy. So that's how probably I thought at that point of time that probably he is thinking of Spiderman as a great leader from his fantasy. So be it. So I then started, I thought that there is something wrong, maybe that myself and Spiderman might be doing that doesn't match what the greatest of the leaders are doing or they did. So our names are not featuring in the greatest leaders of the world. So I decided to change track and typed out a search saying that theories and principles followed by great leaders of the world. Again, Google returned me with 2.4 million results within 10 seconds. And some of the results were mind-boggling. They offered me theories, they offered me formulas, they offered me instant success leadership, everything. In fact, some of the websites gave me chemical formulas as well to be a successful leader. One of the websites said leadership equal to TLT into people into time. I don't know what that means, but it reminded me of the days of my college days when I had to memorize some chemical formulas and then go into the exam hall and write out the chemistry paper. I absolutely dreaded that. Here also I got petrified, I got terrified that if I'm to become a leader, then am I supposed to memorize all these theories and formulas? In fact, the number of theories and formulas that were there in all those websites, if I learn all of them and try to practice all of them, I would be Mahatma Gandhi, I would be Nelson Mandela, I would be Mother Teresa, I would be Martin Luther King, everybody together. So I would be the greatest ever. So, but that is unfortunately not possible, though I want to be like that. So with a broken heart, I decided that leadership is not my cup of tea. So I resigned from there and I said this is the end of my leadership journey, or my want to become a leader ends here. So that night I was about to go to sleep when I again spoke to my son and asked him that why does he consider Spiderman as a great leader. So the answers he gave me were 2 points, and I still remember them, and they were so simple that I was taken aback. I mean, actually leadership can be defined in those 2 simple points, right? So we live in a very complex world, I understand that, but please do understand also that there is still a need for simplicity everywhere. In fact, the world is crying for simplicity. So the answers he gave me were 2 simple points and that is leadership. And those are the 2 points every great leader follows in this world, or used to follow in this world. So what were those 2 points? Let's see. So what is it about leadership? Is it position? Is it designation? Is it power? Is it money? Is it wisdom? Is it knowledge? Unfortunately, none of it. On 28th of August 1963, 250,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. to hear one of the greatest speeches ever uttered in human history. The organizers of the event didn't even send out a single invitation to any one of those 250,000 people. Neither any WhatsApp messages were circulated, neither any email was sent, neither any portal was put up where people could log in to check the date and time of the speech. But still they arrived. They arrived in hundreds, they arrived in thousands. Now the question is, why did they arrive? America at that point of time was going through very troubled times. It was the civil rights movement. And this one person single-handedly changed the course of the movement. His name was Dr. Martin Luther King, and he was the architect and the speech giver of that speech, I Have a Dream, which is regarded as one of the best speeches in human history. So essentially, what did he do different than the others, and which made him a great leader for all of us? Bear in mind, Dr. Martin Luther King was not the only person who was alive in America at that point of time. He didn't have access to unlimited resources. He didn't have anything extra than those other million men or women that were alive in America at that point of time. So what did Dr. King did out of exception that made him actually one of the greatest leaders of the world? And the answer is very simple. Though the answer is simple, but in real life the implementation of it is going to be very difficult. So but again, as I mentioned, leadership is about practice. So if you keep on practicing, eventually you will master it. So all he did was that he instilled purpose into the people. That spread like wildfire, which resulted in a success of their movement. So that is what all great leaders do. They instill a purpose inside people. Just because they care for people, they take their purpose and they instill it into people. So that is the first theory of leadership: make it about them. By them, I mean the people you lead. So always try to make the purpose for them. Then only you will become a successful leader, and that is the first theory of a successful leader. So now let me ask you this, then how does it relate to Spiderman, which my son said that he adores, right? So if you think of Spiderman, he does care for people a lot. Otherwise he wouldn't have stayed up all night in the lanes of New York. He wouldn't have swung across buildings to save lives and all that. He cares about people. He lives a purpose, right, to save people's life. So that also makes him a good leader. A good leader always cares about people, which is the purpose he lives, right? So Spiderman is also following the first theory of leadership, which is make it about them and care for people. So the Spiderman fits perfectly into the first theory of leadership, which makes the Spiderman as a great leader, even though he doesn't feature in any of the 50 pages of Google search. So now let's move on to the second theory, right? In order to explain the second theory, let me start with a story which says that there was a wise man living in one of the villages very long ago, and people used to come from far away places to visit him to get some wisdom, some knowledge from him. So Once so happened that a man from very far away land came to visit this wise man, and he asked for some advice. The wise man was very reluctant to give him any kind of advice to start off with, and said that I cannot give you any advice right now, you come back to me after 10 days. So this man who wanted the advice, he went away and came back after 10 days, and he again asked for the advice. This time the wise man gave him the advice, and obviously the man who asked for the advice was very happy, and he offered him money and all that. But before he was leaving, this man, he asked the wise man a question. The question was, when you could have given me the advice 10 days before, then why did you ask me to come back after 10 days? Why did you make me wait for 10 days? So in answer to that, the wise man smiled at him and looked up at him and said, I just didn't want to preach. I wanted to practice before I preach. So that is what is the second theory of leadership. It is always about you. It is always people around you who are trying to follow you, right? They will try to imitate you. So if you need to change the people around you, you better change yourself first. So that is why we always say it is in the second theory of leadership, it always says it is always about you. So that is how you can evolve yourself actually as a leader, right? And Nelson Mandela actually nailed it when he said, if you want to change the world around you, you should change yourself first. So that is the second theory of leadership. And again, when I go back to that Spiderman example, how does this relate is that Spiderman changes his attire so many times to save people around himself that it becomes a literal example that you need to change yourself so that people get protected, people get also changed according to how you are changing, how you are shaping up the world. So that is the second theory of effective leadership. So let's try to recapitulate what we learned so far. We learned that the first theory of leadership is to instill purpose inside people. How do we do that? We make everything for them, the people we lead. The second theory of leadership is to change yourself according to the change you want to see around you. It is always about you. So though both the theories seem contradictory, but if you sit down and think about these two theories very quietly, very carefully, you will see the difference. Now that you have learned both the theories, I would request you to put some comments down below with your implementation of these theories in your daily life, in your work life, and how it is working for you. I can guarantee you that if you practice these two theories in your real life, in your work life, success is bound to come. I have personally used these theories and they work. Trust me, it does look simple, but it is difficult to implement and it requires a lot of practice. So keep on practicing. These theories will give you results. I guarantee you that. Thank you so much for watching the video today. If you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel and do not forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I publish the next video. Thank you once again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.